Welcome, Sabercats. And we are so excited to have you guys here, and it's going to be a great year. I know things are different and it may seem a little weird, but you know what? Music's music, and we're going to find a way to enjoy it together. We're going to make a commitment to each other to keep working hard and to push each other and to help each other grow. And through that, we're going to become a better band. My name is Mandy Broderick. I'm the director of bands as well as the guitar instructor here at Saguaro. A little bit about me: I am a trumpet player by nature. I've grown up playing trumpet through bands and everything. I've also played French horn as well as pretty much every other instrument at some point or another. I'm also a piano player, both trumpet and piano. I play professionally around town. And I'm married to Mr. Broderick. Many kids have met him through our Disney trips in the past, to our games, marching band, and our concerts. He is also a musician. He plays bass, and he's a singer and a songwriter for a local Celtic rock band. And we, as a family, are just a very musical inspired family. We love music. We love our students, and we love just being here and being a part of all of this. And Saguaro is a wonderful place. This is going to be my 14th year of teaching, my 3rd year at Saguaro, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I have so much fun. Sabercats are just fantastic. And we are in the beginning stages of something magical. Over the last couple of years, our marching band has walked away with 4th and 5th place in state after not having seen state in many years. Our concert bands, both last year, qualified for the state concert festival, when the year before only the wind ensemble did, and before that none. So that is showing how much growth has happened over the last few years. Last year, for the first attempt, our Jazz Gold, which is our top jazz band in the spring, also qualified for state. So we are very proud to say that over the last year, despite COVID happening and not being able to attend end of the year events, every single band that attempted qualified for state events. And we are so excited for that growth, and it's just going to keep happening. We have a fantastic staff in our band department. Within our band department, we have myself as director of bands, our assistant director for music, and this is Mr. David Coons for the 3rd year in a row. He will be occasionally jumping into discussions. He'll be coming to night sessions with the marching band, and he might come into the day stuff as well. When we're back to school, whether it's safe or not, we'll determine how he comes in. He might come in on maybe we'll FaceTime and project him on our screen, maybe, or have him on the computer. Maybe he'll get recordings for feedback. And we're really, really lucky to have him. He is a retired educator, both for California and Arizona, is often a hired judge for ABODA, which is our overall organization that we qualify for our events that we go to. And he's just a musical genius, and we call him our band Yoda. He just has so much information to share the kids, and the kids enjoy learning from him. And so we're really lucky to have him on our staff. This year for marching band, we have additional staff as well. They include Mr. Haddish, who is a local teacher in our district as well. He's our new visual instructor this year, and the students have been working with him through the band camps. We also have our color guard instructor, Miss Erin Owens Gonzalez, who will be, she's not just for the spring or the fall, she also does spring, where winter guard, which is another option that we offer to students to be a part, which is the flag line, the auxiliary line, which has all the things that make a field show look so beautiful. And then we also have our drumline instructor, Mr. Austin King, for the 3rd year with us. And he focuses on the drumline for marching band and creating a cohesive battery unit. So throughout the year, we also have occasional master classes with a staff of educators from across the state, all of which are qualified instructors in their own mind, whether it be a private studio or in a classroom. And they all teach separate instruments, and they will come in throughout the year, whether it be for marching band, concert band, and as the year allows time for, to come and give expertise on that. So that's the staff that we have for our bands here. Let's go ahead and get into actual class and what that looks like for this year, because obviously things are a little different, and we will adapt. You should have by now, because I believe this is in with the first 2 weeks of school that you'll have seen this, you should have received and signed off on our band handbook. Our handbook is a large document, I know, but it is something that you do want to take the time to read. There are sections that may not apply to everybody, so you can always skip over those. and the table of contents hopefully is all correct, so you can always refer back to it. We do recommend, and well, I say that back, we do require our students to keep the handbook in their binders when we're in school. For now, it needs to stay with their instruments, so it is a reference point about absences, about concert policies, about just overall class expectations. So we also will be attaching separately this year, obviously, because they're different. We will have a form with our schedule for the year. And that form will outline everything that you need to know about what we're anticipating. And I'll get to that in just a second. So to start with, our classes right now are unavailable in Buzz. They might be by the time you see this video, but as of the week before school starts, Buzz is not available for fine arts teachers. The district is working very hard to get that going. Obviously, a lot of things changed over the last few weeks, and so they're doing everything they can to get everything moving as fast as possible. But if it is not by then, please know that we have been meeting since the first day of school. We have classes and they will continue. Please refer to the class documents that the district has offered, or the school has offered, as far as what our schedule looks like. We, for band classes, are utilizing Google Classroom. Every class has its own. So there's a marching band classroom, a symphonic band classroom, and a wind ensemble classroom. As far as our synchronous learning, our face-to-face times, those will be either through Zoom Pro or Google Meet. So we're going to attempt Google Meet since it has some new products that make Zoom Pro irrelevant. So if we are able to utilize that feature and still incorporate our staff members, we will. If not, we will continue using Zoom. But I will be making sure students have that information. You also should know that I do use my SUSD email, but I know that with the extra stuff that as a band teacher we often use and have to do with students, we actually have a separate email for me. That way students can reach me over the summer a lot easier. It's a Saguaro band director at gmail.com, and Saguaro is like the school, so Saguaro. That is the best way to reach me when it has to do with band stuff, just because it's a lot easier to filter through all the other stuff I get from school. Plus, school email actually has a limitation on size, and occasionally will close out if it's not deleted, if I don't go through my deletion. So that is the best way for contact for me. That'll go now as well as throughout the year. I also have a Google phone number because I am not on campus regularly. I will be most likely going in occasionally, and they might see me stream from the band room once in a while. I will most likely be in the home. So it's important that you have that access, and the best way to reach me is the Google phone number that is on the handbook. And the handbook will be accessible as well in Google Classroom as a file for students to access. Moving on to what students need for band this year. Due to the nature of COVID, we are following the outlined expectations of the Center for Disease Control, for the National Association for Music Education, for the Arizona Department of Health, and any other departments of health that have been sharing information. We have been following the NFHS study for aerosols and how they're working with instruments and how the spread of COVID is in an instrument setting. And I will be sharing that document either the first or second week of school with students to go over with them, and ask them to go over it with you guys as well, so that you know what is being learned. It is currently only in the second phase right now. I do not know how many more phases there are, but the preliminary studies were shared this summer, and the second phase came through sharing similar results and what the spread looks like and how it differs per instrument, per vocal range, and with masks. And I think that's a very important thing for families to see to determine if band is safe or not for in-person. As a musician myself, I know that COVID makes me nervous because I am a trumpet player, as I said, so my lungs are my livelihood, and if anything were to happen to them, that could be my career. And so that is the same of our students, where music is their passion. It may not be something that is their career choice, and some of them it is, but it is their life, it is their love and their family. And to not have that happen because of something like COVID and have that destroyed where that could affect them, I take that very seriously. So all band camps for marching band were all virtual this summer. I was not worth the risk in the school closures and then the option, the parameters that went around when it was reopened. I felt it was safer to do it this way, because this could be livelihoods and this could be student health long-term that affects whether or not they can continue the passion. So please know that I always have their health and priority at the top of my mind. If and when it is deemed that we are going back to school, I will be following every outline parameter that is given to me, and I'm sure once it's released, when we're going back, whether that be Labor Day or if it's prolonged, whatever that is, I'm sure you're going to have a million questions. Please know that I love your students as if they're my family. In fact, band is often referred to as a family, and I want nothing more than their safety, and that has guided every single question. I want them to be safe. I want you to be safe, and we're going to follow everything that's shared with us about it. We again, we'll follow whatever has been outlined for us as safety precautions. Moving into classes online for EDL. There are some of you that'll be watching this that are actually SOL students, the Scottsdale Online students, that have learned that as long as you are auditing the class, is what they're calling it, just like in college, where you're still following along, maybe completing the assignments with us as your time allows, but attending our sessions and being a part of band, you are still eligible to move forward with everything for next semester if it's chosen at that time to come back to school, or even next year. I know some of you guys are concerned about, like in marching band, if you're going to have student leadership next year, you'll be eligible for band council. If you get, because you have to be involved in the classes now to get those things. Students choosing to take the year off, while we understand that, will be replaced back down. We can't just put you in the wind ensemble after taking a year and not playing. So the students that are doing Scottsdale Online are finding ways to progress in that capacity, and that is something that I'm working with their families. So please make sure that we appreciate you and all that, and we know that that's extra on top of what you've chosen to do, and that, again, we will do everything we can to keep you in communication. You should be aware by this time, because I should have outlined the first weeks of classes, that that means that you are not a Saguaro student, which means we don't have that Saguaro access to synergy. It all has to be through personal, or I have to have your individual contacts. For those of you who are at home working on band instruments and not in some other setup, if there is another one, yes, I know the class times are early, especially because 4th hours first on Mondays are on Tuesday, Thursdays as well. So most classes that have band with instruments are before, I think it's 9 a.m. I understand that can be difficult for some families. It can be in my own house. My husband is a late worker, and he often has late mornings before his next job. So I understand that, and I relate to that. With that being said, we still have to move forward, and we have to have a meaningful educational experience. And so while it is a challenge, we are asking that you take the time to work out among your family, if you have not already, how best to do that. Here are some suggestions that I am making. First, for band classes, see if there's a way that band students, whether there's more than one in a family or not, has one room available to them that they can keep the door closed. I know that's not going to do a lot, but it is going to help some. Second, please make sure every band student has a chair, not a bed, but a chair. It is preferred that it is a chair with no arms, because especially like in saxophones or larger instruments, it can affect how your body is. And we do need to be focusing on posture, especially because we know we're online for a minimum of a month. Body safety and body health through playing instruments is a very important thing to me, to make sure students know. From personal experience, I know that playing instruments can damage the body long term, and it can cause problems if it's not done properly. So it is very vital that the students have the best situation to do this in. So again, a chair with no arms and no swivel like this computer has, making sure that, like, maybe a dining chair or a folding chair of some kind. This is the best for them to create that proper posture, and we'll discuss those in class as well. The second thing that we're encouraging every family to have, if you don't already, is a stand, a music stand. This can be a nice metal stand like we have in school, which is a little more weighty. It can be a Winger or a Manhasset, or it can be a folding chair stand. Some of those are as cheap as like $10, where it folds up into a nice little bag and you can put it away afterwards. Completely up to you what you have. But the reason I state this is that we found that last quarter online, students doing assignments and performing and did not have a stand, and we're reading on, even during camp, we're reading on their computers and stuff. This affects your posture, this affects your instrument carriage, which again affects your body. It also affects your breath control because you can't support your lungs, and you are also causing just bad habits overall for yourself. And so it also is not good for your eyes, as we've learned. So we're trying to give you paper if we can. Obviously, I cannot give you paper music for this time until we're in person. So a printer is also recommended. I'm sorry. I know there are some families that don't have working printers. If there is the means to print things out as the semester goes on, maybe once in a while hop over to the library or to the print shop over at Office Max, that would be a good idea. But if not, we understand. It is going to be better off in the long term, I do believe. When we get back to school, we use a binder system, which is outlined in the handbook as well. It is recommended, if at all possible, that the students set up their binders now, so we don't have to do it again in September and restart and reorganize everything. However, if a binder is not an option at this time, they will have to have a folder, whether or not they're printing music out. Because they're going to have to take notes, and if they don't have music to take direction on, because in my class, the music is their assignment, their worksheets, they will be taking notes, breathe here, don't do this. They're going to have to do it somewhere, because it's part of the learning process of an ensemble, as being able to mark the music appropriately, so you remember how phrasing works, how breathing works, how releases are, what to listen for. All of that's important. And if they can't write on the music itself, we're going to have a means to do so. So those are the things that we recommend for now. Again, knowing that it could be a struggle to play in the mornings, please know, again, they have to be able to play somewhere, somehow. Please know that there will be asynchronous assignments where they will be able to do their assessment elements outside of those morning hours. So that's what the afternoons are for, their homework time, if you will. And that's fine. That way they can play out more there. But again, please just be as adaptable as you can. This year, again, following those CDC guidelines, nothing can be shared. And again, this is all outlined in the handbook. What that means is that nobody can have a piece of equipment that they've touched, they give to another person. And this is to help slow the spread. So what that includes is things like color guard equipment, percussion equipment, all those. There's no shared instruments. That's so where we have one-to-one for the most part. I can't think of anything that's shared at this time, but that's very important, because that might be a little different than the past. So percussion is getting a list of recommended purchases. There are a couple that you have to have. We do need every percussionist to have a decent practice pad, which we've given in the handbook, and a set of sticks for that practice pad. Marching sticks and concert sticks are different. Please know that. And if you can, please get a set of both. We are strongly recommending every student get the mallets that we're encouraging, but we know that can get a little pricey over time. So if it's not something you can all do in the beginning, over time. There are melodic elements to percussion that happens in our class. If your family has a keyboard or a piano or anything along those lines, we strongly encourage that they're using that for class. If you do not, Music and Arts does offer rental systems where you can rent either a drum or a bell kit, which is the little tiny glockenspiel, and that will be perfect for what we use. And they're very comparable in price. I believe that Milano's offers the same option, and it becomes what you call a rent-to-own program, where you gain equity towards purchasing something in the future, so you can put it towards your drums in the future, or if you want to buy a marimba for the house, those kinds of things. Moving into assessments and everything like that. In school, even, many of our assessments are through Google Classroom, especially in the first semester. So this will be no different than what we would have done in person. In second semester is a little more of the in-person performances, not virtual or recordings. Sorry, I hope I said that right. I just backtracked. I wasn't sure if I said exactly that. So just to be clear, first semester are often recorded, second semester are often in person, because it's proficiency versus mastery. The beginning of the year, we focus on learning new tools and techniques like scales and key signatures and different elements to become proficient. And the second semester is about memorization and mastering, growing in those elements. Every student is in a tier system. If they're first year on their instrument, tier 1, second year on the instrument, tier 2, and so on. And they develop different elements to grow as musicians. So that way, when they leave us in their senior year, if they've been with us for all 4 years, they will have everything they need to know, theoretically speaking, should they choose to go into a minor or master program in college. Lastly is going to be the question of performances. and I'll have addressed this with students the first week of school. We obviously are in a time where we don't know what's going on. However, we have, as a department, the Fine Arts Department has chosen to go ahead and schedule the year as if it were normal, which we know it is not, so that there are dates on the schedule. Please do not panic when you see our first calendar concert date. Our first concert date may not be in an auditorium with an audience. It may not even be in person, but we're setting goals for performance elements so that we have things going on throughout the year. If we are unable to do old school in-person in auditorium all year long, there are so many things that are being discussed as options, not just virtually, but so many different ways that concerts can happen. Those conversations have been happening all summer. So please know that we are trying to think outside the box and give as enhanced a music educational experience as possible. Lastly, before we end this conversation, please know, again, your kids are my kids, and I love them dearly, and I love everything we've been building here at Saguaro, and we are not wanting to jeopardize any of that. However, we also want to remind you that it's when things get hard that we push through things that it really becomes meaningful in the long term. I know virtual band is hard. I know we want to be together and make music. I get that. Many students have chosen to take the year off. Unfortunately, that does a lot of setbacks for that student, and sometimes those students never come back because of that. And it is something that I know is important to all of you. I know how much band means to the families and to the students, and it is such an enriching experience and what it can do for your student. And being a band kid, it teaches you things more than just music. It teaches you time management and discipline and self-respect and confidence and planning skills and just long-term development of delayed gratification. It's not, we talk about the two types of fun, the first being where you immediately enjoy the results, but it's so fleeting because it was such an easy get. That's instantaneous gratification. And the second type of fun is the delayed gratification, where you work so hard for something over a long period of time. And eventually when you get to that, it is such a more meaningful experience that you will remember it for possibly the rest of your life. And that's what our band does, is teach those skills. And I'm so glad to be on this journey with you, and for this commitment to you as a teacher, to let you know that we are here for you. Please reach out with any questions or concerns, and I look forward to getting to know all of you over this year. Have a great night and good luck with the rest of your open house.